We're live!
We're back!
Well, hello everybody. So, I'm back from Las Vegas. Last week, we did our show from Las Vegas. Well, Steve and I did. You remember he's the one who said he wasn't Jasmine.
And I love that. I heard that when I first clicked onto it.
So anyways, we're going to just banter a little bit until we start having people pop on, which we do on Instagram. That's awesome. So, tonight is the Survivor, the Time Warp surviving show, kind of. Can you survive if we lost modern technology? And the reason we decided to do this, well, I decided to do this show, is because those of you who are around back in the early 2000s, who were grown up enough to understand what's happening, unlike you, because you were just a dollop.
A tiny tot.
A tiny tot.
Good afternoon, Mom. It's like 7 p.m. Your mom. It's like...
Oh! Well, it's 3 o'clock there.
It's 3 o'clock there.
It's earlier. It's 3:30. That's what time I had to do the show last week.
What?
At 3:30. It's 3:30 there.
That's crazy. I didn't know it was that early.
Oh, yeah. 3-hour difference.
Whoa, that's crazy.
So, anyways. Hi, Mom. So, I decided to do this because we are entering winter. And Jasmine. Can everybody see you? They can. Did you grow up with your dad telling you what you needed to have in your car, or your mom?
Constantly.
Do not leave the house without a...
Even now, my dad always asks, do you have kitty litter or sand, a little bit in the back in case if you get stuck, you need some type of traction. My dad always makes sure I have a windshield scraper. A blanket of some sort. And if you're a girly like me who wants to have all of these things but don't want them all over your car, just take the blanket and cover your back seat with it. Yeah. And it's like a cover for your seat, but then you also have a blanket all the time.
So in Michigan, in states where there's inclement weather, which happens in every state, and the more time moves, the more inclement it happens. Did anybody ever tell you what things you should have in your house in case something happens?
See, and that's really silly because this is where my mom comes into play.
Right.
And now, even still right now, after David and I have been on our own for quite some time, she still always calls and makes sure that we have certain things. Like, she calls every year about this time and asks if I put plastic on my windows. And yes, Mom, I always put plastic on my windows now.
Which is a good point, and we didn't even talk about that. So inclement weather in Michigan, in winter states, if we lose power, we lose heat.
It's a good one. Small shovel in the trunk.
Small shovel in the trunk, absolutely. But what we're going to talk about is not the car, because we have had people tell us for decades, and it will go on and keep doing it, what we need in cars. But nobody really says what you need in the house in case you lose modern technology. Meaning that you don't have heat coming out, meaning that you don't have hot water or water in general. Meaning that, how are you going to cook? How are you going to stay warm? How are you going to do stuff like that? And as we move through time, those things tend to fall away because we rely more and more on technology.
Which is really scary to think about it that way. Because, if it gets taken away, some people are genuinely screwed.
It is. Absolutely.
And, I know, some people in my life where I look at them and say, you wouldn't live.
Right, especially if you take medication.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you're on breathing machines, or you have something you need to know. You need to have a plan in place.
Absolutely.
In our society, our electrical grid is not something we can count on continuously. Until they upgrade them all, we could lose power. Those of us, like I was mentioning earlier, in 2000, we lost power in Michigan and across a lot of the eastern seaboards. Some for a week, some for 3 weeks, some for a month. And it was in the middle of summer. It was hot as can be. And we had no power. We had water.
You're losing your food.
You're losing? Oh, you've lost your food.
Yeah, you already lost your food.
Yeah. So this show is going to tell you about things that you should have in your house so that if you lose these modern these modern conveniences that we have, your world isn't going to stop. You're going to be able to live day by day like they did back in the old days. And so I think one of the best companies to do a spot like this is a vintage and antique store, because we are going to have what you need mostly.
Absolutely.
And the first thing we're going to talk about is power. Okay. Well, before we get into that, let's talk about a few things that are happening.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So, like I said, I was in Las Vegas last week. Steve and I were. We did a show from Las Vegas, which I've got to tell you, and most of you met my mom when she popped on, which I was extremely happy that she was able to. And
are you getting them up there?
No. Why?
I'm just asking. Can you see what I see?
I'm sorry, I'm late.
Okay, you're getting all of them?
Yeah, but I can only see the one.
Huh? Instagram looks busy. Is there anything?
It is busy. It's popping on and off. People are popping on and off. But so we went to Las Vegas. The store's doing great. If you get out there, go see Susan. Susan's the best. But we partnered with Brooke Allen and the Caffeinated Conversations with Brooke Allen. And we were invited to her first premiere. Yes, and it was great. Which was yesterday. If you watched, because we streamed it through our Facebook page, we are a major sponsor with them, and so you saw the ad for the store and stuff like that. Well, the exciting part of that is on Monday, this Monday coming up, I will be on the show talking about MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, for a good part of the show, and a little tidbit about small businesses. Yours truly there is going to be on talking to Brooke about her 586 Organics, which is pretty cool. I'm very excited. Very I am excited. Too. So not only did we get invited to the world premiere of her podcast and videocast, which you can catch not only on here but also on anywhere you can stream a podcast. Yes. So Roku TV, My Free TV, Apple TV, Amazon Prime. It's all on there. So pop on and take a look and see, because you're going to see us both, 2 different shows, because she's going to be talking about her small business and her skincare line, 586 Organics, and I'll be talking about something I'm passionate about, which is Mad Mothers Against Drunk Driving. So watch for that, and then for future appearances possibly, and some changes to this store. Yes, I'm very excited for the future. Yes, and I know we've been talking about bringing this show together, but we're actually a step closer. Good things take time. Yes, and we're a step closer, a big step closer, but let's get back to our thing here. Yes. So let's talk about electricity. Now let's see what happens when power goes out. What do you do when what's the first thing you do when power goes out in your house? Check on all my pets. Okay. And then after that, I close all the doors to any room that I'm not going to be using. Let's say it's at night. Oh, crap. Immediately cover all my windows with blankets. You get candles? Of course. You get candles. Right. But you can't light a candle without a match. So one of the most important things that you should have in your house at all times, do you have them over there, or do I have them over here? Matches. I have them over here. Is matches. And because absolutely, Lisa, I will sure do that. But it's very easy. My website is just 586organics.com, but I will also send it to you later. Yep. I can send it to her. That's Steve's sister. Oh, okay, bless. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yep. So one of the most important things you need is not only either a lighter that you can have to do quick lights. What was that? This canteen is ready to make an appearance. Is a lighter or matches, but you also want to have long stick matches, because if you have to start a fire in your fireplace, or if you have to start a fire outside in a designated area, you want to have matches that are long, kind of like if you're camping. Yep. So a lot of what we're going to go over today and show you that we carry and that you should have in your house, and make sure your parents have them, make sure your kids have them. Make sure that everybody in your house that you have them. But these matches are good to come in because we always need fire. Yes. And going from matches to cooking, those of you who have fireplaces, that is your oven. Yes. That becomes your oven, that becomes your heater, that becomes everything. A very large advantage. First and foremost, I want to tell those of you who have beautiful fireplaces in your house and you use them by turning the gas on, the gas no longer works. So you need to know how to make a fire without the gas. So you want to, and you can't pull up your phone and check YouTube on how to make it because you don't have electricity. So you need to know how to make a fire in your fireplace using paper, using wood, and kindling. So as we go into the season, you want to make sure that you have paper, wood, and kindling in your house, stacked right up outside your house. And then these, no, I said over here. This right here is a good fireplace box that you should have in your house somewhere.
Now, what would you put in that? Wood, paper?
You could put wood, you could put kindling in here, but usually what people use this for is paper to start a fire.
Sure.
Or small kindling to start a fire, because once you have no electricity and no gas, you're not going to be able to cook, and you still need to cook your food. Mm-hmm. So if you have a fireplace, which most houses here do you have one?
I do not, I wish.
You do not. So, but most houses here have them. If you don't, you want to find an area away from your house, somewhere that if you have a conversation pit or you have a fire pit or something like that, then out there. But you want to make sure that you have the appropriate things. So having something like this next to your fireplace is ideal, because then you can keep your paper in here, you can keep your kindling in here, so that when an emergency happens, you just open it up, throw it in the fireplace, use one of the long matches, and start the fire, because you're going to want it.
I know that this one is a little bit silly, but I just thought about it while we were standing here. Recently, I have been trying to take care of the outside cats, making sure that they're comfortable while it's getting colder outside, and I started to put those hand and toe warmers in their boxes. Those are also,
work great.
Yeah, those are also amazing things to stock up. And obviously, I know that this is going to be for when you don't have any power, but they're air activated, so you could buy them now, leave them in the drawer forever, and then as soon as you open them, you at least have some type of immediate access to heat.
Now, what's funny is moving here from California, like I did in 2000 or '99, I'd never heard of hand warmers before.
And toe warmers?
And I may have when I was little, but I didn't remember because I was here when I was little. But the hand warmers and stuff are literally air activated. They're kind of like a one of those
carbon fiber activated pouch.
How do you know that?
Because I
love that you know that. What is those things you break and they let
glow
up?
Sticks.
Glow sticks. They're kind of like glow sticks. You kind of shake them or you move them around and they start to heat up. Those are great for hands and shoes, for gloves and shoes. For those of you in California and Western states where it doesn't get that cold, your pets are still outside. They still like to be cozy and warm, so putting them in their dog houses or wherever is good for the pets. Okay, it's good to keep them warm and toasty.
Absolutely.
And they won't catch on fire.
So I was really thinking about how small things can really make a difference when you don't have any power.
Yeah.
And now let's just say hypothetically you lose your power, and okay, great. Now mom is using one of these to make coffee.
Okay.
Okay. And now let's just say it's getting late. We're running out of wood.
Right.
We don't know what else to do. But we have a miniature propane tank.
Yeah.
That's when this baby comes into
The
play.
coffee maker.
Yes.
Right.
But now the important thing is that you could use this for what? Food, soups.
For anything, really.
Boil vegetables
You
in
could,
this.
you could. If you take the inside out, you could, with the propane, because it is a percolator coffee, you could easily transform that into just a nice container that you can heat up for soups, for hot chocolate, for tea, for anything, really. For a nice hot toddy if you want it.
Ooh, yeah.
But that goes along with your fireplace, because when you have a fireplace, you're going to want to utilize it in every manner that you can. Oh, okay, David. Go ahead and do that, Lisa. Okay, so
hot water and a coffee press. Yep, Carol, yep. That's right.
So one of the things I want to talk to you about, let's stay on the fireplace thing. Okay, so your fireplace becomes your oven as well. And so you need a few things in your house that you can use. Your fire pit outside, or where the designated area that you're going to use to build a fire becomes your cook place, as well as where you're going to sit to warm up if necessary. So you need a few things. You need a coffee maker that can sit in open flame.
Yep.
Like this one, or the one behind you, the big one.
Oh, the blue one.
Yeah. Because this is the coffee maker I would need. Which is the, like you'd use for camping, so the enamel, set right on open fire. Now, if you have if you have a big family, this is great for soup too. I mean, something this large, you could do a stew, you could do soup, you could do anything in it. But these are great for having around so that you can actually and it's good for melting snow. Oh, yeah. So if you don't have water, so the two things you need if you don't have water is you need something like this so you can put the snow in it, and then you want a colander so that you can strain the water after because you don't know what's in it. And then, or strain it before, like melt it a little bit, then strain it, then boil it. But always boil snow before you drink it.
Absolutely.
And never in the yellow.
Never drink the yellow snow.
No. So, but you want to strain it out. So, some of the things that you're going to need are a coffee pot that can be used on open flame, a strainer. Then you are going to need any type of, the coffee pot over here, the Porta Perk, does take propane tank that you can put on the side of it so that way you don't have to put it over the fire. So there are other options besides that fire. So you can do propane, anything camping really, or you could use, you know, if it's just one or two of you, you could use a small one like this. So then you're going to need cast iron, you guys. You're going to need cast iron because cast iron is the best type of cookware to use in open flame. So even if you don't ever cook on cast iron, you should have a couple of key pieces of cast iron. So that way, if you do have to cook on open flame in your fireplace or in your fire pit, you have a pot that you can boil soups, water, stews, stuff like that with cast iron utensils that you can stick right into the flame.
You can also boil water to wash your clothes.
Yep. In this, your food comes from this, your washing comes from this. You need a fry pan of some sorts. So a pot, and I just grabbed 2 little fry pans, but a bigger fry pan comes with one little one, one big one. Just keep them in the basement in case something happens. Always make sure you have something you can cook on open flame with, because even if you burn it, it doesn't matter. You stick it in the fire, it'll burn off. You're not going to use them that often if you don't use them all the time.
Right.
But they're good to have if you need to feed your kids and all you have is the fireplace. Feed yourself.
Yeah, literally.
Feed your parents. Feed anybody, your neighbors, because they don't have any of the stuff in their house that they need to survive.
You have to be successful.
Your 25-year-old neighbors who are sitting there going, "Where's my phone?" You know what I mean? So the utensils are good to have because
those are really cool, honestly.
They are cool, aren't they? And they're good to use for the open fire because you don't have to worry about, and you want to use gloves, people, because cast iron gets hot. So, but they're good to have. You need these in your house. So we will run down them as we go. Oh, and one of her favorite things.
It's my literal favorite invention ever.
This is an open flame toaster. Okay, so you put your toast. What do you do? Pull it down. They're all locked. Yeah, you pop up.
And you have to pop it up anyway, but that's where you put your piece of toast.
Yeah.
And it holds it together.
So you put your toast in here. You put your toast in here.
And it holds it
and then
to the grate.
You pull it, push it up to the grate, and you clip it in. And then you can sit there and toast on each side through the inside.
And I feel like you could use that for various meats like burgers if you absolutely needed to.
You could.
Because it's so versatile.
Or melt cheese.
Or melt cheese, yeah.
Because it's got the grater on it too. So something like this is good to have. All these little things that you don't think of. So inclement weather, we lose power in the middle of a snowstorm. You have a fireplace, you're going to want cast iron, a fry pan, some cast iron utensils, and a pot. You're going to want something to do coffee in, so coffee or hot beverages, soups, stuff like that. And you want to be able to, yeah, the ladles, because these are good if you have a big pot.
I thought that was a miniature pot.
No, it's a ladle. So camping equipment. Utilize your camping equipment. This is all camping stuff that they would have used in camping. That's what you're going to use at home in your fireplace. Then you're going to want a, now I've sold all our coolers, but you want a cooler. But these thermoses are great to have around. That way you don't have to constantly have something on the fire. You can have thermoses full of the hot liquids, cold.
Or clean
even.
water that you've already done.
Clean water to wash your hands with.
Washed.
And as you go through time and you don't have water and
This
stuff like
just
that.
a good one.
What?
Handheld can opener.
Yes, a handheld. Oh, thank you. We do have those too. I should have grabbed one. Handheld can opener is something you're going to need. Manual things that you use your hands with. So let's talk about light a little bit before we get into the rest of the food. Candles are great, but candles are dangerous. And how many of us have lost the power and we are carrying our candles around? We set them in the bathroom. You get up, you go, you leave. You're like, damn it, I left the candle in the bathroom. I got to go back in because it's open flame, right? So there are alternatives to this that work. And I'm going to show you two of them, okay?
I'd say my biggest complaint with losing power and having to use candles is that if you only have fragranced candles, you have 27 fragrances burning at once.
And then you pass out from all of
the fumes,
the
right?
fumes, I know.
Want me to hold?
Yeah, come on. These are things you might want to get. All right, so here we have a lantern that is an oil lantern, and here we have an oil lamp. And yes, these are back from the Victorian eras, right, before electricity, but you know what? That's what you would be living if you lost all your electricity. So oil lamps are great. Now, the one thing I do have to say is the kerosene or the oil that you put in here is flammable. So if you knock this off the ground and the flame hits it, boof.
Over.
Okay, so if you have cats, nothing is good. But if you're comfortable, you have a covered flame. So you can leave it in the bathroom. Plus, the one thing I can tell you is that oil lamps give off much more light than a candle. Whereas you can put 2 oil lamps in a 1,000 square foot room and you'd be fine. Whereas you have 40 candles all in there burning you up to pieces.
And I think that's because oil is like a burning solid substance, even though it is a liquid. It's like a thicker, yes, instead of it evaporating immediately.
Yeah. And, you know, you can control the flame on these. You can make it really low, you can make it really high. So having a oil-filled light source, meaning like an oil candle or a lantern, necessary. Have one at least. Because you're going to be thankful that you have them. And you can buy the oil from any hardware store. You can still get it.
Wow.
Kerosene or oil. I would go with the oil from oil lamps rather than kerosene, because kerosene is a lot more flammable.
Flammable, for sure.
But always have one of them in your house. And that way, you can leave it in a room that you go into often without having to move that candle back and forth.
Every single time you leave.
Every single time you leave. And I'm going to tell you, there is another option. If you do like candles and you don't want anything but a candle, make sure your candle has a glass around it. Because if your candle...
Sorry, that's really cute.
Yeah. If your candle has protection, you feel more comfortable leaving it in the bathroom. And the one thing about having this, it reduces the fire risk, because if your cat knocks it over, what happens?
It's just going to fall over onto itself.
And the liquid is going to put itself out. So if you do want to have very minimal fire risk, then make sure that you have a candle with a hurricane over it.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, it would sit down lower.
Huh.
So that way, if a cat washed up against it, he's not going to knock it over burn his whiskers or his hair, or cause it to knock over and burn something else.
Sure.
Because it'll be a bigger piece. It'll be a bigger piece, so it will have more weight on the base of it. So that way, it won't tip as easily. So having something like that is always good. An oil lamp. Something like that, but just exposed candles, if necessary, work. Just be very careful with them.
Very careful.
Very careful with them. So let's recap. What do we need? Okay, so we are going to need...
We went over cooking utensils.
Yep. And so cast iron, at least a pot and a fry pan so that you can cook. You're going to need something to cook hot liquids in, so either enamel coffee maker or like a coffee craft that you can boil coffee in. Then you're going to need a lantern or a oil lamp.
Or a flashlight.
Or a hurricane covered candle holder, something that you can leave in the bathroom, or something that maybe you need to wash up and you need to not pay attention to that candle as much because you need to pay attention to yourself, and you are washing yourself out of a wash basin, which let me get. Entertain for a minute.
Ooh, okay, entertain. I got one. Since we're pretty much about halfway through our show, I figured I'll give you a did you know. Yep.
Alrighty.
We are halfway. The average amount of calories consumed by an average adult on Thanksgiving is a whopping 4,500 calories per person.
What?
Isn't that crazy?
That's nuts.
Because, I mean, think about it. People are starting to drink eggnog now. You're going back for second and thirds. You're eating that pumpkin pie that Grandma just whipped out. We're also not thinking about all the scoops of the nut-covered cheese that we just ate with all the crackers 15 minutes before dinner. And, lastly, eating food as it's coming out of the kitchen, too. That's also going to be adding calories. Which
Done?
is good. Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Who knows what this is? Ooh.
Oh.
Who knows what this was? Who knows what this is? Come on, somebody. Who knows what this is? Tell me, tell me. What do you think this is?
To wash yourself.
It is. So if you take a look at any old photos of Victorian era or even the 1800s in homes that didn't have, that people weren't rich enough to have
Baths?
water piped in, these are wash basins, and these are good to have when you are in, yes, it's a wash basin. These are good to have when you have no water.
Yep.
And electricity, because you fill the pitcher full of water, and in the middle of the night, if you need to get up and you need to go to the bathroom, you go to the bathroom, you wash your hands using this. This is good for the kids to keep, kids. Yes, this is good to keep at like a kids level if you have a bunch of kids, so when they are running in and out, they can wash their hands or wash up for dinner using one of these.
I think it's cute.
And this used to sit in the bedroom of every house.
Wow.
One of these. And this has a great Egyptian motif. It really does. It's good color, too. I'm just going to set it down.
I feel like I'm so far away from everybody.
For a minute. All right. So, we talked about that. And those of you who are, who live in a climate where there's snow, we do have a built-in refrigerator. Remember that. And that would be outside. A built-in refrigerator. I have a stand that holds the basin and holds candles. Oh, see, that's cool. I love that.
That is super cool.
Because that I have not seen, and that would be cool.
Ooh. Right.
What was I saying?
We were talking about
outside.
snow.
Yes. So those of you who live in colder climates, in the winter, if you lose your power, your outside becomes your icebox. It becomes your refrigerator. But there are a few things that you got to remember, and this is something that I do have to say. The new plastic, if it gets too cold outside, it will crack. Something going on?
I'm just waving at all the people who are viewing something.
They could crack due to the extreme cold. So I would suggest vintage Tupperware, and there's two reasons I would suggest vintage Tupperware is because one, it holds up better. Durability is better. The plastic is thicker. Number two, these are burp lids, so you know when they're closed. And what I mean by that is you put them on.
We almost put it on.
As you put it on, push it down at burped.
Click.
And so you know it's closed, because if you're going to store something outside, you want to make sure it's closed so that there's no scent.
Have you ever?
Otherwise, you're feeding the neighborhood animals.
And then you'll have vermins.
Everywhere.
Have you ever tried frozen maple syrup?
No.
So you just dig a little hole, not all the way to the ground, but just like a divot. Pour maple syrup in it and take a popsicle stick and twist it, and it turns into a sweet treat. They won't attract animals either. Yep, exactly.
What won't?
She's talking about the Tupperware.
No, they won't attract animals. But if you all you have is new Tupperware, then I would highly suggest using Ziploc bags and making sure they're sealed, and then wrapping them in like tin foil or something else, something that keeps the smell out and something that is not easy for animals to get into.
Absolutely.
Because if we are cold and hungry, so are they. So you want to make sure that these are sealed.
Is this a candle?
It is. And it's mint.
Wow.
It's mint. So Tupperware to store food outside because it becomes your refrigerator. And I gotta tell you, I was telling Jasmine this earlier, that in the middle of winter, I love Jell-O.
Ugh.
And people think I'm weird because I love Jell-O. And, but I like fruit in mine. But I love Jell-O. So Steve will make Jell-O in the winter for me, and he literally sets it outside. And it solidifies so quickly.
That's sick.
because we can get really cold here, you know that. So, Tupperware, cast iron, something to cook.
Let's talk about ways you can entertain yourself.
Well, we will. I've got one more thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the flashlights, and then why are we running out of time?
No.
Oh, okay. So let's keep fun stuff till the end. Make them wait because we got entertainment too. So, flashlights. You want to keep flashlights on hand, and you want to make sure you have batteries on hand for those flashlights, right? So, something like a military flashlight that takes a stronger battery, because military flashlights tend to be brighter. So military flashlights are good. Flashlights that shake. So you don't need batteries, you shake them, and it's the momentum, kind of like a watch, that keeps it lit. But make sure that you have a ton of batteries. Batteries are very important. Something like this, it takes a bunch of...
A big old battery.
That's a halogen light. Yeah, it takes the real big ones. There's one over there, actually. Do you see the big one over there?
Oh, the battery?
Yeah. So you want flashlights that work, and you want to make sure that you have plenty of batteries in stock. So what you want to do is you want to think back to the boom boxes that took 20 batteries, 20 batteries to make them play, because we wanted to carry them around, and store those in your house. So it takes a battery similar to this. This one does. Not this one. It's a smaller version of it.
And it takes
similar
two of
to
them.
this, and it takes two of them. But I'm going to tell you, you're going to get some longevity out of this.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And this is a halogen light, so it's great for the bathroom if you have to apply makeup because you're going to work,
Yep.
even though there's no electricity. That's just like your bathroom light.
Thank you.
Yeah. Some of the other things is transistor radios. You want to make sure that you have transistor radios because you want to hear about what's going on in the world. AM is always the best channels to go to during a weather event, because AM news is always running, and all transistor radios have AM. Not all radios have FM.
Really?
Yep. So transistor radios are good, or crank radios. Always have one of those on hand, because you're going to want to hear what's going on. If you are going to work and you do need to get dressed, we do have irons you can place over the onto the stove to get hot and iron like they do back in the days. Those are accessories that you can get. Make sure that you have enough quilts and blankets.
Can never have too many blankets.
Yeah, quilts, and especially if you have pets, because you want to make sure that they have huge areas to be warm in. Or then you can go back even further.
I cannot get this battery cover on, so we will have to figure
We'll do
this
that
out.
after. These are hot water warmers that you would put under your bed or under your mattress, stuff like that, that would keep your mattress warm back in the day. This is a bladder one that you fill with water. It's a combination water bottle. So, you know, kind of like the old water bottles that you can get hot and keep under the bed, under the covers with you to help keep you warm. Mm-hmm. These are old school ones that you fill with hot water and help keep you warm. These are always good to have. Not the most necessary, because if you have a fireplace, you sleep down there and cuddle up.
And that wouldn't it be just, I'm thinking about how hard it would be in the bed.
Yeah, but they really didn't care back then when it would sit in the corner of the bed and for their feet.
No, yeah, for sure.
But there are ways of making it work. So we are going to get into entertainment here in a second on how you entertain yourself, but I want to do a rundown for you one more time. Is cast iron. You want to have a pot and a pan of cast iron to cook in your fireplace or outside in your fire pit.
Yep.
You're going to want a large tea kettle or coffee pot, something that you can cook soups in, that you can do hot beverages in. You're going to want thermoses so that you can keep them warm without having to constantly cook. You're going to want, like the Dakar, the 80s cologne. You're going to want matches. Matches. You're going to want matches. You're going to want Tupperware that burps so that you can keep stuff outside if it's cold. What else? Blankets. And then, of course, if you...
Oh, you're a good one.
Oh, yeah. And then blankets, and I'm missing something. The flashlights that shake, and stuff like that. And then we were talking about this, and we came up with this because a lot of these, and I know during 2020 everybody got sick of these, but keep a couple on hand because if you have no water, you can't wash your hands as often as you want.
Yuck.
And even though we have the pitcher and wash basin, you have to boil the water to put in there. So you're constantly in the kitchen boiling water. So I guess that term that the woman's always in the kitchen, what?
He said, Jasmine, take notes. Take notes on what? And notes on
okay,
what?
on how to kick your butt when you get home.
Honestly, right.
I love that. So I would consider, and we were talking about it, and we think that a couple of these in the cupboard are good because you're not going to want to, you're going to be busy doing other things. You're not going to want to stand over the stove and boil water constantly. You're going to want to do that a few times a day to wash hands, but keep this around for the kids. Keep it around for yourself just to...
It's also an instant fire starter.
It is. But it's good to get the germs off your hands quickly without having to boil water and wash. Because after 5 people wash in that basin...
Water's gone.
Or filthy.
And the heat of the water, gone.
Gone. So these are good for those times when somebody's just running in and out and need to do their hands. So make sure you have some of that on hand. Put it in a pretty jar if you have to. So what type of entertainment can we do? Because
I'm grabbing.
oh, you know what? She's gonna grab something, but paper plates. Make sure you have paper plates because you can't wash your dishes. So get these things and put the paper plates on them so that you can carry them around and hold on to them when you're sitting down by the fire. But have a thing of paper plates downstairs because you're not going to want to wash dishes when you don't have water.
Let's just say you unfortunately lose power and it's Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
Sit down with your family and make one of these.
Yes, we do have those.
We do have these.
Do you have one that needs to be made?
No, it's in the tiki section.
Oh, is it?
It's a pineapple.
Okay, let me grab it.
And these are just made from styrofoam, pins, and beads. Love that.
So, this is what they look like in kits. So it can be a family event that you make these things during a blackout, during downtime, and then just think how, this will become a family
tradition,
or a family heirloom, something that you made during a rough time as a family that kept you happy and together.
Such a good idea.
So one of the other things is I depend on my phone to call people. Mm-hmm. Do you?
Of course.
How many of you have a phone book that are under the age of 50? How many of you... I know you do. That does not surprise me. But how many of you under the age of 50 have a phone book? And I'm going to tell you, I am not one of them, and I'm over 50, and that's bad. Although I memorized a few people's numbers, I could not tell you address or number of... I couldn't tell you my mom's number off the top of my head.
Oh, no.
All right, so, see, this is why you need to have it written down.
And I think it's because I have this irrational fear that, like, what if, like, I step into an Uber one day, right? And they're like, it's like Cash Cab. And then you got to name, like, 15 phone numbers off the top of your head. Like, what if I needed to answer that? I would have to because I want the money.
So having a emergency go to a phone book that has the phone book, address, and the name, what their relation is to you, their phone number, and their address.
Yes.
Because what happens is, and this is important, one of the most important things is go and check on your grandparents. Make sure they have this stuff written down. Make sure there's information in here, and make sure that he's laughing about Cash Cab. And make sure that all that information is taken, and make sure that grandma and that your neighbors are well taken care of and have the things they need. Because if, God forbid, anything happens, knock on wood, they need to know who to contact. And so if there's not something here and we have no power for them to get into a phone or a computer, there is no way. So we want to make sure that that you have it written down. Also, if you get lost or trapped someplace in a car, and like let's say you're driving to somebody's house and you're going based on your phone and you lose power.
Oh God.
And then your phone's half dead and dies, you don't know where they live.
No, and you don't know where you're at.
You don't know where you're at, and that happens. Lisa.
I was just, you kept looking back at me, and it's because I was panicking trying to get this back on.
You would have gotten it after.
But the way that you have to put this on was so silly. That's why you should have seen my face. I just looked at the camera like, oh my God.
So make sure you have it written down. Make sure you have important phone numbers. Make sure your kids have those important phone numbers written down.
It's also important to have your medical information written down too.
Yes.
Because what if, like, unfortunately somebody slips and falls and, like, it's just like you and your mom, or your mom and your dad are by themselves, and, like, no one can get to the phone because it's dark and it's cold and they slipped, and you know what I'm saying? This will be, those are good things to have, and it sounds very silly.
We depend on our phones, we depend on electricity, we depend on modern conveniences so severely that it's statistically at 7.7 billion people in this world that the Wall Street News website stated that 10% of that 7.7 billion people knew how to live day by day without modern conveniences. And those 10% are going to be anybody over probably 65 and anybody who lives in, what's the word I'm looking for? Like third world countries, somebody who don't have a lot of technology. Those are your 10%, which leads me to believe that most Americans would collapse without modern conveniences.
150%.
Don't let your family be one of those statistics.
Like, for example,
have this stuff in there.
If we didn't have electronics and phones, I wouldn't be able to achieve all of my great did you knows.
You wouldn't.
Like, did you know that turkeys can clock up to 18 miles per hour on foot, but up to 50 miles an hour if they fly?
No, but did you know that turkeys are the dumbest animal on earth?
Because their brain is smaller than their eyeball.
And that turkeys are controlled when they are given water to drink, because they will drown themselves, because they will forget to look up and breathe while they're drinking.
That's honestly really sad.
It is, because turkeys they will drink, and forget to breathe and drown themselves.
I have my last
I actually was taken to I actually went to, during school, a turkey farm.
Oh, David had a good one. He said we wouldn't have this show right now.
We would not have this show, so you would not know what you need.
Here's my last did you know, and I feel like this is the best one that I probably have ever achieved.
What's that?
Did you know that Butterball Turkey, the brand, has a emergency hotline for anybody in their turkey questions?
Yes, I did know that.
And between last year, November and December, they had 100,000 callers.
So every year, Good Morning America will put after Thanksgiving how many people called that.
That's crazy! 100,000 turkey questions.
And they have people lined up, people sitting, taking those calls and answering those questions.
That's crazy. Now, nobody's turkey better be dry this year.
Could you cook your turkey if you didn't have power?
No, dude. Well, you could, but it would take an awfully long time.
Do you know how?
No.
Right. Do you know how? No. These are the things you have to look at. These, like,
can
how
you deep fry turkey?
You can, but you have to be very careful. Haven't you ever seen those videos where they explode?
No, I haven't. I totally want to.
Never do it in your house. Ever.
Dude, Lisa said that no, of course your house would explode. Lisa said she's called them before. Lisa, what was your question? What did you ask them? I have to know. What was your question to Butterball? That's so great. I love that for her.
So I challenge you to ask your kids, to ask your family, are you prepared if we lose power? Are you prepared if the modern conveniences disappear? Because everything has a bubble. We've all seen the housing bubble. We've all seen everything else. Nothing lasts forever. And even though I knock on wood and hope we never lose power, it's bound to happen at some point. So be prepared. And that's what we want you to be prepared. So what can they do for fun?
We have so many things. I didn't pull any.
You can play cards.
We have board games. We have checkers. We have chess. I don't know how to play many card games.
But you'd learn if there was no electricity.
100%. I don't know how to play spades, but after the power outage, I would probably know how to play spades.
I can guarantee you that if we ran out of power for a month, parents would get to know their children.
Oh, yeah.
Children would get to know their parents. Children would show more respect for their parents.
Oh, 100%.
Parents would show more respect for their children.
People would start to show their true colors and their own cognitive function, because social media and just phones in general are a really good way to brainwash people into thinking that they're somebody else. So without a week of having a phone and an influence to be somebody else, you would truly see exactly how somebody really is.
That's exactly right. And if we think about it, let's go back to 2020. None of us want to go back to 2020, but let's go back to 2020 on the aspect of nature.
Okay.
Okay. So we removed all of. I couldn't call Steven. I never would have heard the end of it. I had to call.
LOL.
I couldn't see the rest of it. What was it? How did it end?
She's like, I couldn't call Steve because I would have never heard the end of it. I had to call and see if it was okay if I could leave like the stuff inside, like the gizzard and stuff. And she's like, because I didn't want to stick my hand inside to get it out. She's like, I was gagging trying to get it out.
So that's my favorite part too. Isn't that gross? I love the gizzard.
But I have something to follow up with what you said, but I don't want you to forget with what you were saying. You were talking about let's go back to 2020.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I was going to say that let's go back to 2020 in the aspects of social media wise. And now in 2023, nothing is private. You know that? Like you could go on Instagram and you'll see somebody getting dressed. Like obviously they'll have like a bra and underwear on or whatever it may be.
We're social beings. We're going to find a way.
Yes, but people are getting dressed on social media. People are showing you what their house looks like. People are walking around giving you tours. In 2020, that didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Like I shouldn't know what your bathroom looks like, and the fact that your entire bathroom is color coordinated into yours and your best friend's favorite color. But now I know that for some reason because social media gives me access to.
So you're absolutely right, and this goes along with it. Back in 2020 in nature, we had parts of nature that we've never seen before. We've had the canals in Italy, which nobody had ever seen the bottom of those. All of a sudden, they're clear. We had animals come back. We had flamingos reappearing in areas they've been gone forever because in Dubai, flamingos disappeared because they were messing with the ocean so much.
Right.
And because 2020, everything stopped, the flamingos came back. Things come back. Nature rebuilds itself. So I lost where I was going with it.
Oh, no.
We rebuild ourselves when we lose that technology, meaning that everything that happened today, all the bad, the evil things that we see in people on the internet, that's all existed for as long as humans were around.
100%.
The difference is, it was not shoved in our face every 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Humans, in my mind, cannot take that much information in and understand it and process it.
I've seen a really good video along with what you are talking about right now. It's like, I'm sure you've seen them too, where like people are just standing in the middle of the mall and they'll ask this person like a random history question, but people are walking by, it's a mall.
Right.
And I remember he asked this kid like a basic history question, and the interviewee got mad because people kept walking in the view of the camera, and the kid answering the question said, hey man, it's okay. Like everyone's in their own little world right now, and how could I get mad at a person walking in a public mall that just accidentally walked in within camera frame? You know what I'm saying?
Not like on purpose.
Right.
Yeah. So, so when I'm saying that we're out of power and we're out of electricity and stuff like that, you will get to know you will get to understand and know your child, your partner, your parents a lot more. You will understand where they're coming from. That is why timeouts and breaks on social media, on devices, are necessary.
100%. I would honestly use the word mandatory. Like, just recently I set up the little function on my phone where I only have an hour of social media on my phone a day. And it doesn't matter if I got work to do on social media or not. I have an hour per app. That's all I get. And then there's a passcode on it to where I don't even know it. I gave David access to that.
See,
just because I'm trying to, like, cleanse my brain,
And we need, because we always compare the person online to the person in front of us. We always are not afraid or question ourselves when we respond online rather than responding to the person in front of us. When somebody's standing in front of us and they're imposing, you're not going to say what you really want to say.
Exactly.
Because you're afraid for your life, even though that person's as nice as can be. But behind the anonymity of a keyboard, you say what you want.
And social media also has a really good way of making you think that other people's lives are this whole different aesthetic than what they really are. And I'm not outing this Facebooker because she's viral. She has hundreds of thousands of followers.
We're not bashing social media because we're talking to you on it.
But the moral of the video was it was a very sliver, like you can tell she set her phone up to only see a very small portion of her kitchen. And she just so happened to have a very old looking oven. Mm-hmm. Something that you gotta put charcoal in, you gotta rotate it, whatever you gotta do. Well, when you go to look that up, that stove she bought was $12,000. So now, for example, you have this lady making homemade bread in her kitchen. You think that this stove that she has been passed down from generation to generation.
And it's a brand new
really
stove.
Brand new.
That costs $12,000.
That costs $12,000. But social media is making you think that this single mom's making homemade sourdough bread with her 2 kids on her vintage stove. But meanwhile, she just bought that stove 3 months ago for $12,000.
We need modern conveniences. We need social media. There are good things about it like this. When we talk about things you need to do, getting the word out, talking about the things you should have in your house in case of inclement weather. But, take a break from it, because you would be surprised how well you get to know the person in front of you or the person you are with every day. Hell, you may not even end up liking them.
Exactly. if you ever catch yourself looking at your favorite influencer, celebrity, actress, whatever it may be, and you say, dang, I really wish I was Jamie Lee Curtis or whoever it may be that is an interest of you. Now, you might want to be that person or want their life because of one aspect. And it might be the fame, the fortune, the lifestyle. But now, do you want everything else that comes with that lifestyle? Their health issues, their communication skills, the fact that they might have little to no friends. Yeah. Their life might be extremely hard, but you only want it because it looks good on social media.
And, I've been privileged enough in my life to work in industries where I have worked with famous people. And I'm going to tell you, there are some I hate. There are some that I would not give two minutes of my day to, because they are just awful people. But you see them on screen, you see them on, now not all of them, but some of them. And they're great. And they play roles that are beautiful, and they talk to you and stuff like that, but they're the most miserable people in the world. So don't go based on what you see.
Absolutely.
Make sure that you have everything you need in case we lose it all.
And don't let social media make you feel like you're falling behind because you don't have a $5,000 backup generator. You know what I'm saying? You can still keep your family warm and safe and cozy with old school items.
And happier, really.
Exactly. That you know for a fact is going to work. Like, you know that this cast iron pot is going to keep your soup warm for several hours, and not this rinky-dink pot or pan that you just bought.
And trust me. So let's say you have, I'm going to use teenage son and teenage daughter, right? And very, very social media influenced and stuff like that. And we lose power, right? So you tell them, well, we're going to cook this in the stove, in the fireplace. We're going to start the fireplace. We're going to, cook some soup or stew in the fireplace. We're going to have this. And they're sitting there going, oh, come on, I'm just going to go do that. Like teenagers do. We've all done it. But I can guarantee you, by the time you have started it, they're down there asking questions. It is going to become the time you remember in your life with your kids, with your family, that you are never going to forget, and you're going to talk about it forever, because they helped you make food in a fireplace.
100%.
When just yesterday they were at Neiman Marcus on their phone taking pictures of their dress or their outfit. The next day they're making soup in a pot in a fireplace. What do you think they're going to remember? What do you think they're going to tell their kids about?
Oh, literally.
What do you think they're going to write a book and talk about? They're going to talk about the time they spent with their family doing that, and not the fact that they bought this great Alexander McQueen dress or outfit, right? They're going to remember that, and that is what you want.
It's going to create great core memories.
It is.
Sure.
Plus, it's going to teach them how to care for themselves.
And I feel like that's like the biggest thing too, because living, and I'm going to say this in a silly way, living rustic is becoming trendy right now. Like, you see more and more people wanting to cook
living
out.
rustic or living the lifestyle of rustic?
I should say living the lifestyle of rustic, because nobody really truly understands the legitimate meaning of rustic. And yesterday when we met, I'm sorry, I cannot remember her name, from Covenant House.
Oh, yes, Carolyn.
And honestly, I was just talking to David about this yesterday, so if you guys did not tune into Caffeinated Conversations yesterday.
The Covenant House is doing a sleep out, so you want to be involved in that. And
honestly, this is really great, and why I'm tying it into our topic today is that they're doing a sleep out, and the whole moral of the sleep out is to not talk about being homeless.
It's this Thursday, I think.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. It's this Thursday. It's to bring awareness to the fact that a lot of people around us think that being homeless is easy, man. If I was in that predicament, I could easily go and get a job, and I could easily keep myself clean, and I know where I'm going to sleep tonight. Okay, great. Well, the Covenant House is going to give you an exact POV of what it is like to be anybody of any age to unfortunately not have a cast iron pot or a porta-perk. These people don't have anything
or a coat
really close to this, or a coat. You know. So if you'd like to experience that, you can go to covenanthouse.com.
And I can guarantee you that these roles are would reverse if we lost the modern conveniences.
100%.
Because the unfortunate truth of being homeless is you learn how to survive.
And also, if you're an influencer and we have no internet, your job's gone.
Gone.
You have nothing.
Completely gone.
Bye-bye. So.
Almost everybody's job is
literally, you would end up homeless, unfortunately.
Mine wouldn't, because I can count change back and do it like this. Counting change back is something everybody should know, because if you are in a situation where you are somewhere buying batteries, something that you need, and you hand them a 20, you want to make sure that that person is giving you back the right amount of change. Because if they can't count change back, matter of fact, it just happened to a friend of ours who went to a local fast food restaurant, paid with a 20, the total bill was 15 something, and they gave him back a 10.
I'm out and out. It was David.
Oh, they gave him back a 10. And he was like, why are you doing that?
And he called me so quick and was like, I just stopped at Big Burger King and my total was $15, gave her a 20, and she handed me a 10 back.
And this is a situation where they can look on the computer screen and just tell you what to bring back. So if you can't even do that correctly, counting change back is not going to be in your purview. And you are going to get cheated out anytime you buy something during a blackout, because they have to count the change back to you. And there's no credit card, debit card, or any use whatsoever. Yeah, you ain't getting no money out.
You ain't getting nothing.
So you should always have some money at home, too. That's a good point. You should always have some money at home.
Oh, God.
Otherwise, you're because that happened to me when we were in California. So it was me, an ex, and a friend of ours. We drove down from San Francisco when I lived there, and we went to my mom's house, and when she still lived in San Diego. And on the way home, we stopped and slept in the Valley, LA, in the Valley. Well, at 5:49 that morning, the Loma Prieta decided that it was going to start rocking and rolling, and a 7 or 6.9 earthquake hit. Okay, so fortunately we were fine, but when we saw the damage that happened, the freeways collapsed, everything collapsed. I mean, it looked like they bombed the place. We couldn't get money out. There was no electricity. We had a very little amount of money on us. And we couldn't get money out because we couldn't get money out. And we couldn't get gas either. So we had what we had on us. And we were thankful enough or lucky enough to have the place we stayed give us that room again that night. Because that hotel was not damaged enough to where we had to leave. So you never know when you are not going to be able to get money out of your account. And so having a little bit of cash, not tons in your mattress, but a little bit of cash at home, necessary during a blackout, necessary during inclement weather. I didn't even think of cash.
I know, I'm thinking about any other things. We got cash, we got plastic on the windows, we got pots, pans, entertainment. We have warmth, so blankets, the toe warmers. And
we talked about it because we thought maybe we'll do one of these shows on how to fill an oil lamp and burn it correctly. How to do things like that. So we are going to become more involved in that type of thing to teach you. So that way
It's getting cold outside. It's more relevant right now.
It is. And if you live in Buffalo, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to learn how to do everything because the amount of snow you get, you're going to be stuck in that house for months. So, anyways, what else do we have? It's almost time to go.
I think I went through all of my...
Oh, so Steve sent me a Did You Know, real quick.
Okay.
Steve sent me a Did You Know about little girls in Italy.
Oh, yes, the wine.
Yes. Did you know that little girls in Italy, or not little girls, just little children in Italy, were allowed to drink wine up to a liter a day. A liter a day of wine.
Crazy.
And he sent me a picture of a little girl toasting a wine. They would be allowed to drink that.
She's like...
I know. So no wonder all the little kids were so quiet and good behaved. They were all drunk.
They were big chillin'.
You want to give them our spiel?
Alrighty, you guys, we are so happy to be back on Time Warp Tuesday with, they're back from visiting Vegas for a while. If you guys didn't get to tune into that video is still up, so you're still able to watch it.
Yep.
You
and
should
you
because
Susan.
and you can meet Susan and you can see Jason's mom, and honestly, you can see the back of the store, and it looks pretty cool.
Yep.
We're still active on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. Make sure you give us a follow on those. TikTok.
And I hope this helped with a little bit.
Yeah, me too. I think it did a little bit. Let us know in the comments. Let us know if this helped you out.
And let us know some of your tips and ideas of when that happens.
Right, exactly. Catch us next Tuesday next Monday, on Caffeinated Conversations with Brooke Allen, and then catch us the next day here back at Time Warp for our show on Time Warp Tuesdays.
Which, by the way, Caffeinated Conversations, 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock on Monday mornings will be streamed on the Facebook page, and I believe 586 Organics is going to stream it as well.
Absolutely.
And check me out because I'm going to be talking about something that's near and dear to my heart.
Honestly, I think this entire show with Brooke Allen is going to be amazing, not only just because us as her wonderful guest, but also Brooke Allen is just a pleasure to be around. So if you guys would like to hear us talk some more, which I'm sure you guys can't wait.
But it's mostly us.
Make sure you turn into our show on Mondays at 10. Again, Caffeinated Conversations. And then meet us here again Tuesday night for Time Warp Tuesday. See you guys.
You can stop it.